Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Ironheart Season 1, Episode 4. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, it's unclear whose property John and Parker were breaking into at the beginning of the episode, but I think it's that CEO I was referencing last episode. I didn't catch the CEO's name, but it's the guy that was on TV when Parker and John had having that conversation of, yeah, maybe we don't go do the heirloom job. But then after Parker saw this guy on TV, like basically a statement about like actions that they were having, he was like, nah, screw it, we're definitely doing the job. I'm like, at the last episode, I was like, that guy's got to be Parker's biological dad. Either he cut Parker off and threw him to the wolves and left him alone and abandoned him, and Parker resents him, and he's basically going after all these tech giants, kind of trying to do a Robin Hood-esque thing, except instead of, in his mind, it's like, I am stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, even if I'm benefiting from it. We're snatching power what we can get, right? I'm still riding that until we're proven wrong, but that's been my theory since episode 3. I think that's his biological dad, and he's his main motivation for doing all that he's doing, and I think that was his property John and him broke into. But yeah, in the aftermath of that, obviously we flash back to present day, and it's kind of like a little memorial service for John, and everyone's there, including Riri, which you can tell, like, geez, could you look any less guilty? But you can make the argument where you're like, oh, I feel responsible, I wish I could have done something. But the way Parker's eyeing her down, he knows, and he's like, no, don't worry, Riri, I got plans for you. And so obviously this is motivating her even more. She's like, something's off, and Natalie keeps telling her she's paranoid because eventually she's not sleeping. Understandably, when you have a guy who can bend bullets and he can turn invisible, it's like, yo, like, what am I gonna do? Like, can your tech even catch him? Like, because she's setting up cameras later in the episode, can they even catch him on camera? I highly doubt it. I mean, regular cameras, sure, but if you're a tech genius, maybe you can operate something that picks it up. But I mean, I don't know if this thing like completely nullifies any form of signature, whether it's like heat signature or whatever the case may be. All signatures might be like null and void and try to sense and tell where he is. Riri's trying to understand the hood more. She's analyzing the piece that she has, and it becomes a situation of like, how does she describe it? It's like internal combustion is how it operates. And once again, I really like that science fiction and fantasy, the blending of science and magic. But it's like internal combustion, and obviously that all gets transferred into the user, but the energy, they don't know where it comes from. But now it's like, that's not how the laws of physics work. The energy doesn't come from nowhere. It's got to come from somewhere. But it's like, no, it's not. So I guess like this thing's kind of on its own internal system of operating on its own, I guess is how I'm interpreting, because Riri described it as like a heat engine. But obviously she's extremely reluctant, and a big part of this episode is her reluctancy to let anyone in. Understandable, because you would have to admit a lot of stuff that you've done, which, obviously Ezekiel gets busted. He's taking a fall for the whole heirloom thing because his tech was found there, fingerprints. So now Joe McGillicuddy is dead because now you've been outed as Ezekiel. You're going to prison, and Riri comes to visit him. Is like, yo, I'm gonna fix this. And he's like, how are you gonna do that? You're selfish. You're a liar. You're a cheat. You manipulate, and it's like you are in this situation. Like, it is the sad thing of Riri's now, like, these are the consequences of her actions. Like, she decided to go down this route. She didn't have to. I mean, once again, Parker sweet talked her. He has this pipe. He has his own dreams and ambitions, and he plans on bringing everyone up with him. And Riri got seduced by like the money and what this would mean, and bringing her own dream to come true in fruition. But she never thought about the long consequences of what could happen, because she only cared about what she was getting out of this. And obviously she's still also riddled with guilt over what happened with John, which Natalie points out was self-defense. Like, you did what literally John would have done the same thing. He would have left you there to die. You also, like, you weren't thinking in a moment. You were just, Natalie just snatched you up out of there. To be fair, you didn't fight to try and spare John, but it's like, Parker would have been after you. Wouldn't been as bad, but it would still be a situation of, things would still be pretty bad, even if like you had saved John, because like I said, they would have come after you. So it all is a moot point. But Parker wouldn't be as vengeful. But once again, Stewart just screwed up on the job. We saw what happened in that front. I mean, it's like you kind of screwed up on the job too, so it would all kind of came to the same point, but he wouldn't have the extreme vendetta he has against you, which is motivating and pushing him to take you down. I'm so curious, staying on John really quickly, I'm so curious what that ice bathtub thing was. Maybe it's like a, almost like a meditation thing where it's like, maybe it brings him a little closer to you-know-who, Mephisto, if he ends up being in this or not. But like, maybe it's like you have to cool your body temperature, kind of get like as close to death, like to fully like commune with him. Like obviously he can send images, show you stuff, mess with your head. He's the one that showed her, like, you know, John last episode and like showing like, oh, it was Riri was responsible. So maybe like to have a more direct commune with them, you have to do that. Or maybe there was something else at play there. Like maybe there's another reason why he has to do that. Because I did forget, last episode John did talk about like, yo, it's hot and you got the heat in here. And I said like, well, more likely the heat is coming from Parker himself. So that's probably, it might not even been like, oh, I'm going to try to commune with, I'm about to say Manifesto, shit. Mephisto. It's probably a thing of, no, he legitimately has to like cool his body down, because even Riri's like, his body can't keep up with this. That's probably what the scarring and stuff is from too. Like his body is literally going to combust eventually, because it's too much for a regular human to handle that type of power, and probably like at a consistent state. Because I'm sure like even taking a cloak off probably doesn't. I'm curious, because there are times he's not wearing a cloak, but it probably like you would probably have to go long periods of time not wearing it to really reap the benefits of, okay, this isn't killing me anymore. And he wears it pretty consistently, so, or maybe it's that whatever damage is done is already spreading, like it's already imbued you, and so your body's already on a ticking clock, and maybe just continuously wearing it is just expediting it. It's like a, you know, it's just your lifespan was already shortened, and now it's just shortening even more and more the more you're using this hood. So maybe that's where things stand. We'll have to wait to see. Back to Riri's paranoia, trying to make sure the people in her life are protected. So she gives her mom a watch, and she gives Xavier one. Obviously not telling them like what the real truth behind this is. Granted, her mom finds out about it later. She's watching, what was she watching? I don't remember. She's watching a movie, and then gunshots went off, and then it puts up like a bubble around her, so freaking her mom out. Xavier never found out, which that led to a whole interesting conversation about like, am I a good person? It's like, you know, he kind of takes the very like middle ground of like, well, what is good and bad? Like those are just labels based on who you're talking to. But he's like, I know you're a smart person. I know you look after the people you care about, you know, so why get so caught up in the label of good? It's like, well, she probably needed, I mean, I think that spoke volumes to her in that moment, but I also think she probably also needed to hear like, I am a good person, right? It's like, you know, you're like any human, you're flawed. And yes, you were selfish because you were selfish, but you know, what human isn't selfish to some extent, you know? But I mean, you're no different from like Tony. Tony could be selfish. He could be blinded by what he wants and kind of damn the consequences for a long time. Obviously, that's part of his journey and growth, but still, like, he could get blinded by his ambition like any other human could. So it's just a matter of how you respond, and you know, and she's trying to respond, and but I mean, it's more about self-preservation rather than responding to like her mess ups, even though, because like her mess ups and everything, like her choices have sent like this domino effect to get to where we are right now. But it's more like, well, I got to worry first and foremost, I need to protect the people I care about, because this guy's done enough research into me, enough stuff about me is known publicly, so like this guy could come after me at any time, which she's not sleeping. Hell, she literally fell asleep on her bed in this suit. It's like, that's kind of wild. I was kind of scared something worse was going to happen. I thought like she was going to be having like a panic attack or a dream or whatever, and then like start firing at nothing because she's hallucinating while she was in a suit. Granted, she busted down her mom's door, sure, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Her mom knows something's up, and it's like, let me talk to you. Like, we can figure this out if we just work together, like just explain everything. But she's like, Mom, I think I need some like sage advice, like some just, you know, work and just everything. It's been a lot, and I think I need to just decompress. So maybe some of those crystals and stuff. So takes her to Madeline's shop where we meet Madeline again, and her daughter Zelma, where we didn't get revealed. They at first, when Zelma did what she did, I was like, oh, does her mom not know? It's like, no, her mom knows. It's like, yo, her mom trained at Carmitage but she dropped out because she was pregnant and wanted to raise her daughter. It's like, oh, now you kind of create your own type of magic. So something that's kind of beautiful in its own right, but it's like, if I was training at Carmitage, like I would be like way even more. It does make you wonder what's up with the school, because like obviously we haven't seen it since Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. With America Chavez is there along with some other people. Obviously having to repair after Wanda kind of went on her spree there. So, but yeah, like I was not expect, like I thought, like, you know, once again, like Madeline had like the hippie vibes and stuff like that. I didn't know we were dabbling with real magic on this front. I'm like, oh, sick. Because I was trying to think to myself, is this the first live action show since Agatha All Along? I think so, isn't it? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's the first live action show since Agatha All Along. So it's kind of interesting, kind of going from like the witchcraft magic to this magic, because obviously the witchcraft magic is different from the Doctor Strange magic. I mean, there's different levels, and because I think all that's also different from Nico's magic. I mean, depending on if Runaways are canon, so we don't know if like Nico is canon in the MCU directly. Once again, that's tangentially MCU, so I don't know. The same, I mean, I'm sure like it might, I don't know if it counts as like the multiverse of the MCU. I think it would, because it's based around the MCU, but like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has Nico in it, and that's like a tangential like multiverse extension of the MCU. So, but yeah, my point is, like, I think her magic works on and operates in a different manner. I mean, maybe they have a lot of the same principles. I haven't seen Runaways in a while, so I don't remember the core of like Nico and her family's magic versus like Doctor Strange's magic versus like Wanda's magic versus like Agatha's magic, along with other witches' magic, you know, so on and so forth, right? Like I said, I just wasn't expecting there to be full blown magic, and I thought it was interesting too when they kind of are examining the piece of the cloak, because Zelma could immediately be like, whatever it is, it's in your pocket, because she could feel it and sense it. I think that's probably what they're trying to make the parallel, where it's like on the tech side of things, Riri's this prodigy, and Zelma's probably a prodigy on like the more magic side of things. But it's like, oh, there's something with that cloak. Let's examine it. And they're like, oh, we need to see if is it witchcraft? Is it natural? And then when it vanishes, they're like, it's natural. So they're saying like it's because it's from a different dimension in regards of natural. And extrapolate from that being like, oh, this thing is naturally existing in the dimension it's from. It's not something crafted through magic. It's not something made through magic. It's something that might exist in its natural state, but it's from a different dimension, a dark dimension. And when they kind of read the tea leaves for it, it freaked Madeline out. Zelma knew what it meant, but her mom was like, just shut up, don't say anything, and sent, Ronnie and Riri on their way, because it's like, whatever this is, stay away from it. This is some dark stuff, and you want to stay as far away from it, because what's happening isn't like possession. It's influencing the user. So once again, it's playing with its head, it's playing with its mind. Considering who is potentially behind it, makes a lot of sense, because he's essentially this world's version of the devil. I don't know if he's this world, like, once again, that's the complicated thing about DC and Marvel. It's like they do have like, is there like an actual god here? There are godlike beings. So is Mephisto the actual devil in Marvel, or is he just like a powerful monster? Couldn't you also make the argument that couldn't Dormammu be kind of on the same level as like a devil? But I mean, I don't know in the ranking where Mephisto stands versus Dormammu. My point being, like, I don't know if he's like just meant to be a substitute for the devil in Marvel, or is there actually the devil? Because obviously I know in DC there actually is. I mean, that depends, but I mean, it's like, I know like Lucifer Morningstar exists in DC continuity because of Sandman and Constantine. But tangents and all that aside, but kind of going back to the point that Ezekiel brought up, Ronnie brings up like, yo, you lied to me. You made it seem like you just need some like energy cleansing or whatever. But it's like, no, there's some very bad stuff involved here. You had me go to my friend's shop where it turns out something's up here. And Riri's like, not, and this is something he called her out for. It's like, you're not taking responsibility for your actions. And it's like, yeah, like you're continuing to lie to the people around you. It's like, yeah, the more less people are in the know, like the more likely you can protect them, but it's still like, well, you're keeping all this stuff. I mean, that, once again, I'd be a hypocrite for calling you out for it, because I do it. to probably the same extent of like internalizing a lot. She, like gets on her mom's case because it's like, you're always on my case about dealing with stuff my way. It's like, and when I don't deal with stuff the way you want me to, you always throw out like how I don't process, like the Gary thing always gets thrown in my face, and like I process things differently. It's like, that's the thing, like also you're not processing it at all, you're internalizing so much of it and you're not dealing with it. The sad thing is you are running from it. But once again, the conversation also came up in this episode, people grieve in different ways, and it's like, well, we've seen in the MCU how grief can also affect the people around you in different ways, ergo, speaking of magic and all that, WandaVision. So it's a very complicated thing where like I understand your hesitancy to inform the people around you, but like you're spiraling out, and the actions you're doing, you're lying to people, you're manipulating people regardless of your reasonings. Like you're not telling people the truth, you're not informing them, and they're kind of going to get blindsided in the worst way possible. So, and it sucks too, because for Ronnie, it's like, you never talked to me. Like Gary was the one you always went to, and that's probably always got to be a hard thing too, where it's just like, I'm your mom and you won't rely on me. It's not even just like Gary being your stepdad that cuts deep. It's just in general, like, I'm your mom, I gave birth to you, and yet you don't feel the need to turn to me, like rely on me, and you'd rather run away from me. I mean, any kid would love that. Anytime they got into an argument with their parent, they could just get into an iron suit and take off, and boom, I'm gone. That's the easiest way to run away. But I mean, that is a massive metaphor for like, what's the word I'm looking for? Her literally running away from her mom in the suit is just kind of God, like I said, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it's just like, in all extents and purposes, it's kind of like that's what this all is her running away in a lot of ways. And it's like, are you fully taking responsibility for your actions? She's trying to, but kind of stumbling her way through it while also still dodging responsibility, not telling anyone what she's done. She goes to Zeke's place to like examine this cloak, and she ran the gambit of everything she could do: cold, bombs, acid, doing everything she can. And it's like, yo, this thing seems to be indestructible. How can you destroy it? Could magic even work on this thing? I don't know. And so she is also coming at this from a tech perspective, from a science perspective, where it's like, this is magic. Only thing that'll probably beat magic is magic. But it's like, it's also depending on your perspective. Magic is just science we don't understand. Once again, it's interesting because like the MCU, specifically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., always took that perspective of, oh, magic isn't real. It's like, it really is real, but it's also like, oh, the gods like Thor, they're not actually gods, they're actually aliens. It becomes that conversation. So Riri's still trying to approach, it makes sense why you would approach it from that perspective. Science is what you know. Magic is not in your bag. So it's like, I'm going to handle it the way I think I know how to handle it. So either way, on her way, just flying anywhere, just needed to get out, needed to get away, she has a panic attack. And so Natalie sets her down in a junkyard, goes and picks up Xavier, because it's like, right, he needs to be the one. You need to talk to somebody. Your mom's not going to help you right now. Who's the only other person in your life you can turn to? It's like, well, Xavier, and brings him there. And I thought they were going to have a heart-to-heart about everything, but then the Natalie stuff came up, so they didn't even have time to broach the conversation with all that Riri's dealing with. And he's not as ecstatic as both Natalie, because Natalie thought like, oh man, he's going to be so happy. He's going to be pissed at you for how long you've kept this a secret from him. But he looks at Natalie like an abomination, because he's like, this is horrifying. He's like, what I do is honoring my sister. You're kind of keeping her frozen, stuck in time. It's like, Riri didn't intend to do this. In fact, she was trying to delete Natalie. And it's so interesting because she keeps saying this point over and over again. You're not Natalie. He's not your brother. But in this moment, she's like, well, she is alive. It's like, you now that she spent more time with you, you don't want to get rid of her, because it's your way of processing things, and you never have to fully let Natalie go. So it's unhealthy in its own way, but like I said, it could also be therapeutic in its own way. Like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a trained psychologist, so I don't know if the Natalie of it is actually a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously, Xavier has his way of dealing with things, and it's like, this is horrifying. It's like, you are keeping a version of my dead sister alive. It's like, that's it. I can't believe you would do something like that. And the fact is that you think I'd be okay with it makes me think like, right, I thought you understood me and what I was going through for you to turn around and do something like this behind my back. And it's like, that did not go the way she wanted to. In fact, now she's even more isolated than before. She literally has no one to turn to, because now Natalie takes off because she's like, whoa, you gonna really listen to him about deleting me? But she's like, when she's talking to him, it's like, no, we don't have to do that. Like, it's like she's torn between, like, is keeping Natalie the right and healthy thing, especially if it compromises my relationship with someone who actually is still alive here, Xavier, and I'm actually hurting him by keeping Natalie alive. But this is also about me, because her mom was a lot more, because I think that's also the thing. Natalie probably thought he was going to have the same reaction Ronnie did. It's a little different when it's like, yeah, we were like family versus like, no, this is family. That's a deeper conversation. But yeah, at the end of the day, she's alone, and Xavier no longer has a watch either, so he's not protected. So everything's spiraling out. You got a guy after you. It's not just him, because we see at the end of the episode, Parker informed the entire group, so now they're going to be aiming for Riri. She's without her suit. Luckily, she'll probably call Nat, but Nat's probably going to ignore her for a bit, because of all of this. And anyone you care about could be targeted, like your mom, who still has the watch, but we'll see, and Xavier, who doesn't. Then there's also Ezekiel, who got propositioned by Parker. You knew something was up when, like, Clown was like, oh yeah, like, bringing in another tech person's like, well, the last time a new tech person was brought in was Riri, and the previous tech person, Stuart, got. So it's like, yeah, especially when she was talking to Parker. Parker's like, oh, you didn't tell me you outsourced this. You should have let me know. That would have been perfectly fine. But like, no, I got something for you. So he comes and visits Ezekiel. He's like, I'm going to get you out of here. The fact of the matter is, like, you can take back your name. Joe McKillicuddy, like, that name sucked anyway. You probably hated your job. You hated your house. This way, you can kind of embrace being who you are. Once again, Parker's good at, like, speaking to people. Very cult leader-esque, where it's like, I find people, and it's like, you're at your lowest, and I can help you. I can take those talents of yours, and we can do something good. You can, especially Ezekiel, when it's like, well, he needs help, like, on the tech side of things, and Parker's going to help, connecting, like, some of the nanotech with his brain. I don't fully understand Ezekiel's circumstances. Like, obviously, like, he's blended tech with his body for whatever reason. I don't know if that's just like, hey, I'm experimenting and doing it, and I thought it'd be cool. The squad broke him out of prison pretty easily. And then also, how are you going to contend with that in the future? It's like, most likely Ezekiel, he's definitely a means to an end. So once they've dealt with Riri, they'll probably get rid of Ezekiel. I don't know if Parker's going to blame him, being like, yo, you're responsible for what happened to my cousin John. Even though that's on Riri, in his mind, it's like, your tech might have supported it, but you probably had no idea. So there's probably that angle to it. But then there's also the situation of, like I said, people would come looking for him. But I guess it's like, if you stay below the radar, once you've gotten all that you've gotten, you're going to disappear. But also, like, when they're doing what they're doing later on, whatever enhancements and upgrades they're making, we see that the admin for it is Ezekiel. I mean, not Ezekiel, sorry. It used to be Ezekiel. Now it's going to be Parker. So you're like, cool. So you're screwed in the future. So either Parker's going to pull the kill switch on you later on, and you're just going to straight up die when you're no longer needed, or he's basically going to be able to control you through the tech, and you're not going to be able to fight back against it in that regard. So you're sadly going to be used against Riri, even though, like, you don't want to hurt anybody. You're just, kind of doing your own selfish thing too, trying to do what you believe is best, and you want to use tech that can help people in the long run. So it's like, yeah, you and Riri are actually parallel to each other, and I'm sure that's going to resonate even more in the coming episodes in that regard, but we'll see. So fascinating developments. It's going to be interesting to see where the next episode ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.